Classified document, Division 13, clearance level, Obsidian. File, H.K. Protocol Addendum, a date, 22 March 1999. Case progression summary, 1995 to 1999. Total documented erasures, 247 individuals. Geographic spread, 12 prefectures, expanding. Agent casualties, 3 KIA, 5 MIA presumed erased. Successful interventions, 0. Key developments, 1996, first electronic manifestations noted. BBS interference, phantom emails. 1997, Agent Koizumi erasure during solo investigation, established buddy system protocols. 1998, phenomenon acceleration noted. Average time from isolation to erasure decreased from 18 months to 8 weeks. 1999, digital component confirmed. Internet activity appears to accelerate victim vulnerability. Current status, Team 7, Tanaka Ito Watanabe, dispatched to active case in Shibuya. Subject exhibiting stage 3 erasure symptoms. Photography degradation confirmed. Immediate intervention authorized. Notes, Ito has developed early warning detection system. Watanabe shows increasing signs of personal investment. Monitor closely.
In the basement of a forgotten collection, I found it. A book, unlike any other. Welcome, dear souls, to Tales of the Tattered Book. Let the story begins.
The Hikikomori Protocol. Chapter 2. The Room That Breathes. March 22nd, 1999. Shibuya District, Tokyo. Sarah adjusted her equipment bag and checked her digital camera for the third time as they climbed the narrow stairs of the apartment building. 4 years of hunting digital ghosts had taught her to never trust electronic devices in affected zones. But the camera was their most reliable early warning system, the first thing to malfunction when reality started to bend.
Subject is Nakamura Daisuke, age 28.
Tanaka's voice was quiet, professional, but Sarah caught the tension underneath.
Computer graphics artist, freelance. Neighbor reported strange sounds 3 days ago. Voices from an empty apartment.
Empty according to who?
Watanabe asked, though they all knew the answer.
According to the landlord, the apartment has been vacant for 6 months. According to the neighbor, Mrs. Fujiwara, her friend Daisuke lives there, and she brings him groceries twice a week.
Tanaka paused at the landing, checking his notes.
Yesterday, Mrs. Fujiwara called us directly. Said she was worried because Daisuke looked transparent.
Sarah felt that familiar chill, the one that had become as routine as morning coffee. 4 years, and she still wasn't used to it. Maybe that was a good thing. The hallway was typical of older Tokyo buildings, narrow, fluorescent lit, with the faint smell of cooking oil and cleaning products. But as they approached apartment 4B, Sarah noticed her digital camera's LCD screen beginning to flicker. "Stage 3 confirmed," she whispered, showing the display to her partners. The image was fragmenting, pixels bleeding into each other like watercolors in rain. Tanaka nodded and knocked on the door.
Nakamura-san? This is the Tokyo Metropolitan Police. We'd like to speak with you.
Nothing. Not even the sound of movement inside. He knocked again.
Mr. Nakamura?
Silence. But Sarah noticed something. The hallway lights were flickering. Subtle, but there. "The building's electrical system," she said quietly. "Something's interfering with it." Tanaka looked at Watanabe. Watanabe gestured toward the handle. Tanaka tried it. Locked, but the electronic lock was struggling, clicking repeatedly as if it couldn't decide whether it was supposed to open or not.
How long before complete manifestation?
Sarah checked her notes, though she had the progression memorized by now. Stage 3 means physical coherence is already compromised. If he's following the standard pattern, maybe 6 hours? Maybe less. We're running out of time. The typing resumed from inside the apartment, but now it sounded too fast, too rhythmic, like a machine rather than human fingers on keys. Tanaka made a decision.
We're going in.
He pulled out a keycard. Division 13 override codes could open any electronic lock in Tokyo. The lock clicked once, twice, then gave up. The door swung open, revealing an apartment that made Sarah's trained eye immediately catalog aberrations. The space was too large for the building's floor plan. The walls seemed to pulse slightly, like breathing. And sitting at a computer desk with his back to them was a young man who flickered in and out of focus with each keystroke.
Chapter 2. The Room That Breathes. March 22nd, 1999. Shibuya District, Tokyo. Koji Watanabe had been alone for 18 months when his wife died. Cancer, swift and merciless, taking Yuki from him in 6 weeks from diagnosis to funeral. The apartment they'd shared had become a mausoleum of memories. Her books still on the shelves, her coffee cup unwashed in the sink, her side of the bed growing cold and staying that way. He'd almost become like Daisuke himself. Almost stopped leaving except for work. Almost let the world forget he existed. The only thing that saved him was the job. Missing persons cases that forced him to remember that other people's isolation could be death sentences. Looking at Daisuke now, Koji saw himself as he might have been. The young man turned slowly, his face shifting between solid and translucent, like a photograph losing focus. When he spoke, his voice seemed to emanate from the apartment itself.
Are you here about the noise complaints? I try to be quiet, but sometimes the work demands focus.
Daisuke's eyes, when visible, held the wild exhaustion of someone who hadn't slept properly in months.
I haven't left my room in... How long has it been? The projects keep coming, one after another. I can't stop working or they'll...
They'll what? Watanabe asked gently.
They'll forget about me.
Daisuke whispered, and paradoxically became more solid as he spoke his fear aloud.
Everyone will forget about me, like I was never here at all.
Watanabe's heart clenched. He'd felt that same terror during those dark months after Yuki's death. The fear that without her to remember their shared life, he might simply cease to exist. You won't be forgotten, he said, stepping closer. I promise you that. Behind Daisuke, the computer displayed architectural blueprints that seemed to move on their own, rooms folding into themselves in configurations that made Watanabe dizzy to observe. He noticed with growing alarm that their current surroundings were subtly shifting to match the geometry on screen. When did you last leave this apartment? Watanabe asked urgently.
Leave? Why would I leave? Everything I need is here. The work is here. And if I leave, I might not be able to find my way back. I might disappear entirely.
Something vast and patient pressed against Koji's consciousness, a presence that felt disturbingly familiar. It reminded him of those endless nights after Yuki's death, when the silence of their apartment had seemed to watch him, waiting for him to surrender to the isolation. "We can help you," Watanabe said, extending his hand. "You don't have to be alone." But Daisuke was already fading, his chair now empty save for the lingering impression of a human form. The computer continued running its architectural program, and a new window materialized on screen. The keyboard clicked by itself. Someone, or something, was typing. The text said,
"Thank you for the gift, Detective Watanabe. He was lonely, but you understand loneliness perfectly."
The realization hit Watanabe like ice water. This had been a trap. Not for the team, for him specifically. The entity had studied his grief, learned from his isolation, prepared this moment. The floor beneath him began to liquefy, and he was sinking, not downward but somehow inward, as if reality itself was consuming him. Sarah and Tanaka's voices grew distant as the apartment folded around him. "Tell them," he managed to call out, unsure if they could still hear him. "The loneliness. It's hungry. It's been feeding on me since Yuki died." The walls collapsed inward like a closing fist, and Koji Watanabe fell into a dimension where grief had substance, and every moment of isolation became living architecture.
Chapter 2. The Room That Breathes. March 22nd, 1999. Shibuya District, Tokyo. "Koji!" Sarah screamed, lunging forward, but Tanaka yanked her back as the ceiling folded down toward them. Sarah watched in horror as the space where Koji had been standing simply wasn't anymore. The apartment was reshaping itself, walls bending at angles that shouldn't exist, the doorway behind them shrinking rapidly.
We have to go!
Daisuke's form wavered like heat distortion. Tanaka grabbed her arm, pulling her toward the exit as the ceiling pressed downward. "Koji!" Sarah screamed his name again, lunging forward, but Tanaka yanked her back as the ceiling folded down toward them. They tumbled through the rapidly contracting doorway just as apartment 4B completed its transformation into something that was no longer quite real. Where the door had been, only blank wall remained. From somewhere inside that wall, Koji's voice reached them, distant and tinny, like a radio transmission from very far away.
"Sarah, Tanaka, can you hear me? I'm still here, but everything's different now. Everything's..."
Static, then silence. The hallway lights flickered once and went out.
Classified document. Division 13, clearance level. Obsidian. File. HK-protocol-suspension. Date. 25th of March, 1999. Operational failure report. Team 7. Agent K. Watanabe. MIA. Presumed loss to anomalous integration. Agents H. Tanaka/S. Ito. Survived with psychological trauma. Incident summary. Premature intervention based on flawed timeline assessment resulted in total mission failure and agent casualty. Apartment 4B, Shibuya District, confirmed as active manifestation node. Building quarantined indefinitely. Disciplinary action. Team 7 disbanded. Agents Tanaka and Ito suspended pending psychological evaluation. Clearance revoked. Phenomenon status. Expanding. Global manifestations confirmed in Seoul, Hong Kong, San Francisco. Containment protocols ineffective. Note: 6 subsequent teams assigned to Hikikomori protocol. 18 agents deployed. Current survival rate, 33%.
End of Chapter 2.